Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney,
And I'm MK.
and I feel like I said that a little weird, but it's
It's fine.
because I started weird.
You did.
Um,
I was gonna
I made
say.
things weird.
I was sorry. I've been listening to a Bates Motel podcast recently, like re-listening to it, and they're obsessed with the girls who do this podcast are obsessed with the moment when like Norma was like, "It's not weird." And so when you were like, "I made it weird," I wanted my brain immediately was like, "But it's not weird." Um,
It's not the weirdest thing to happen today, for sure.
No, but I was gonna say I love that you gave me like a visual cue of where I can cut the episode by being like, okay. I don't
Take
even
a
have to
deep
listen to
breath.
it to find the start point. I'll just
Yeah,
watch for the
I got you. I needed a
beautiful.
breath before we started, so you're welcome
I need a breath
for my
always.
needs. How are you?
I've lost my mind.
Sure, yeah.
It's fine. I on Friday, Dan and I were at the house getting some things ready, and he, as we've talked about on the podcast before, and his ability to just like need everything to be perfect all the time, just like walked around the entire house, like telling me things that he needed to fix, which turned into me crying. Because this was also when we discovered that the heat was not turning on because it was the first day that it
Mm,
was really cold. Turned into me crying, curled in a ball on the couch about how I don't think he even wanted to buy a house with me because everything he said was
yeah,
just upsetting.
sure.
Um, and then he had to go to work Friday night. So I went back to his apartment
Bless his
by
heart.
myself and ordered Papa John's and ate it alone, while still crying. And then proceeded to, on Saturday, like start a fight with my wedding coordinator. Um, to which
Warranted.
warranted, but she's also now sent me 3 apology emails that I have not answered.
Right, which you do
I do
eventually have
need
to
to do
respond to
that.
those. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so like, yeah,
Well,
doing great. Doing
it's
so
time
great.
for that. It's time to be
It's
unhinged.
it is. I mean, I also think I'm gonna start
Reason
my
for the season.
I think I'm gonna start my period this week, so like I think I'm just actually unhinged. But
No,
I'm doing so well.
that's okay. I think I'm just unhinged. No reasons. No reasons. Just is what it is.
Yeah. No, but
Mhm.
like when it first gets cold, I have a lot of trouble with my fingers. Like
Yeah,
when so I'm like I can't feel my fingers. I just want to cry every time somebody talks to me. I'm sure all of this
sure.
is probably because I'm a woman.
Hormonal.
I'm like, but then also I was like so hormonal about everything and emotional about everything that I like rather than getting any of the 47,000 things I should have gotten done this weekend done, I read ACOTAR for 3 hours.
Hmm. Yeah, but sometimes you just got to do that.
I know. I finished book one and then immediately texted Chrissy and Kate to tell them that I hated myself
I
because
need to reread. I read the first one, but it was like 6 years ago, so I need to
but
reread
like
it.
I hate myself because I'm a cliche because of course.
Oh, yeah, yeah, aren't we all?
But I was like, this is Damon Salvatore all over again. I went into the book
Every
saying I
time.
was not going to fall for it. And I would do
Every
anything, and
time.
I would do anything for this man.
Hmm. Any day of the week, all the time. Yep. No question.
None. Zero.
Hmm.
So that's how I am. Completely unhinged.
Excellent.
How are
Um,
you?
I'm good. I like how I said, remind me, I'm going to talk about Friday. And you said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And then you start and you're like, so on Friday. It's like,
Yes.
okay, sure, sure.
Yeah. And to
Um,
be fair, it was just because that was the start of my epic downfall.
right. It was just funny. Yeah, so Friday. So my Friday was slightly
Yeah.
different from yours. I did
You didn't eat pizza alone while crying.
no, because I didn't eat. So
Right.
right, I went real hard opposite direction. Yeah, so I got up and I went for my morning walk, which was lovely. And then I needed to get my nails done because they have been a disaster
Ugh,
for
mine are
like
so
two
bad.
weeks. So I went to get my nails done, and Rachel was out of town, so I had to go by myself, which is fine. But I went hardcore Halloween, and I got them late enough that I think they can also be my yeah, where they can also be my birthday nails. Um,
Mine,
and I don't know,
mine are
they're coming.
janky.
Yeah, see, mine are brand new. Mwah.
Nice.
So, but they're black and sparkly, and then my toes, they picked a similar black, but it's more sparkly, so it's very exciting. It's very jarring. But they're both Wicked related. So like my fingers where I walked
Nice.
in the store. I love Cindy's. This is where I always go. If you're in New Orleans, go to Cindy's, except when I
Yeah.
want to go there because then there's too many people. But I just walked in the door and she was like, chair 12. I was like, do you have black and sparkly? And she was like, yeah, go have a seat. I was like, excellent. That is all
Excellent.
I needed you to tell me. And so
Perfect.
the nail color is called Defying Gravity. And I didn't see what the toe color is, but it had a wicked like wrap. So I was like, related. Um,
Love.
hold on. Yes, okay. Rachel asked me if I was podcasting. I was like, yes, I am. So I got my nails done, and I was having my fall day, my fall girls day for
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
And so it was Trader Joe's, Aldi. I needed to go get all my fall materials. And so my friend Vicky, who I haven't seen in a couple months, even though she lives down the road. I texted her and I thought she was off on Fridays, but she's not. So, but she's like a 2 hour lunch. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't care. I didn't ask a lot of questions.
Whatever.
I was like, do you want to go have lunch? I was like, on your lunch break? And she was like, I'm not really hungry. I was like, do you want to go to Trader Joe's with me? It's like, just want someone to run errands with me. And she was
She's
like,
like, I
okay.
care. Like,
So
I just don't want to be alone right now.
right. Yeah. And so she met me at Trader Joe's, and then I went and I got my fall thing. So I got butternut squash mac and cheese, which not a huge butternut fan. Like butternut squash fan, it's usually a little sweet for me. Delicious, so
I
tasty.
had on Thursday, I had a butternut squash, cauliflower, and cheese soup,
I don't
which
know.
was so good.
See, I don't like butternut squash usually, and I don't like cauliflower usually. So
Oh,
I
see,
don't know
cauliflower
about
is
this
my favorite
combination.
vegetable. Cauliflower is my favorite
Mm,
vegetable. But the cauliflower cuts the sweetness of the butternut soup or the butternut
that makes
squash.
sense too,
So
though.
it's like still like a creamy like potato soup.
Okay,
It's got a little bit of the sweetness of the butternut squash, but the cheese and the cauliflower cut that a lot.
I could get behind that probably.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I got that, and then I got pumpkin butter, so like apple butter, but pumpkin butter.
Yeah.
And so that is my toast that I've had for all of my meals lately. And then I got um I was walking out and I got some like the sea salt brownies.
Mm.
Um and so I got those. Those are not fall related, but they just looked really tasty. So I got them. And I got my chips, the ones that I'm sure I've talked about because I got them when I was in Jersey too. And they are they're like cinnamon sugar tortilla chips, but they're not sweet. They're just like you're eating an elevated tortilla chip. Um, so I
Okay.
got those, and then I was about to walk out the door, and they had the 7.99 spiced wine that you heat up. And I
Mm.
literally just stared at it for a minute. Um, and I was like, do I need to get this? Am I going to drink this? Is it too sweet? Um, sorry, she's asking me dinner plans, and it's very important. And so I was like, I literally just stood there, and Vicky just stood beside me, and I was like, do I get it? Do I not get it?
Yeah.
I bought it. Of course I bought it.
Of course.
I'm not a moron. So then we leave, and I'm like, great, let's go to Aldi next. We're going to all of our stops for all of our
All of
fall
the stuff,
things.
everything. Yep.
And so so we leave, we drive over to Aldi, which is farther down the road than I remembered it being, but it's okay. I still got it back in time for work. Um, and I got some mango ginger Stilton cheese. Meh, it's not
Yeah.
great.
No,
I
but it
will
sounds pretty
potentially eat
rough.
it. I thought it'd be really good because I mango like I'm not a huge ginger fan, but a mango ginger is usually pretty good. And I like a Stilton cheese. So I was like, but it's like there's too much in it, like too much
Yeah.
mango in it. It's
Yeah.
like I can't separate the flavors at all. And
Mm.
so it's just too much. And then I got some cranberry. I don't white cheddar. I think I don't remember. It's Rachel's favorite. She had
That
asked for it,
sounds
so I got her
delicious.
some of that. It is very good. Um, and then I also got this fall coffee thing. It's like all these fall flavored coffee pods.
Ooh.
And so far I've had three of the 12 of them. There's like 12 in there. And they're pretty good. I had the hazelnut there's cinnamon hazelnut first, which I'm again don't love cinnamon.
Okay.
Not bad. Not as bad as I expected. So I had a very fall day. And then because I skipped lunch, my body was like, okay, lunchtime's over. You're not hungry anymore.
No, no, no. Yeah.
So then I get home and I'm like, yeah, I'm not hungry. And so but I also wasn't working out that day because I'd spent too much of my day doing stuff already.
Yeah.
So that was going to be my rest day. And so I like started working and then it's like 10 o'clock. It's like, I have got to eat a food. And it was so late. I like just did it all day. So I
Oh,
had
and
a little
then
bit of leftover pasta with
oh, that's not when you
butternut
did
squash
your
mac
I
and
was like,
cheese.
that's not when you did your
No,
toast
that was
twice.
Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was Saturday night when I also forgot to eat most of the day.
Good.
I am doing well. So that was wow, very long-winded, but that was my Friday, and
I love
I'm
it.
just really excited for fall. I understand we're now in November, and it's probably what day is this? What day does this come out?
It is November 7th right now.
So the elections happened. Great. I'm
Oh my
sure it went well.
God. Oh my
Um,
God. Oh my God.
I'm sure everything's fine. Nothing has gone wrong. We're all still here, probably. And no one's having a mental breakdown. It's almost my birthday, so just hang in there for like 5 more days and
I mean,
we'll just pretend like the rest of the world doesn't exist.
is there
Um,
is there a way things can go right?
mm,
Okay.
no, but we're pretending because we're in the future
We're in
and
the
we're gonna
future
say that
and
everything is
everything's
fine.
fine.
Right. Um, yeah, wow. And my birthday's next week, so what a
Yeah,
wild
that's very
time.
true.
I
It's
do love my
very true.
birthday.
Is your
And
birth
I am sure it's on a
oh
Tuesday.
yeah, your birthday's on a Tuesday. It's not on a recording day or a episode day.
It's not on anything that affects the podcast day. No.
No.
Um, so yeah, that is all of my feelings for today. And I hope everyone has had a great Halloween and has had a great week and didn't cry too much. So, can you
Yeah.
give us a little spiritual affirmation that we are definitely going to need today? Nope. Great. Excellent. Love that.
Pain comes in all forms. The small twinge, a bit of soreness, the random pain, the normal pains we live with every day. Then there's the kind of pain we can't ignore. A level of pain so great that it blocks out everything else, makes the rest of the world fade away, until all we can think about is how much we hurt. How we manage our pain is up to us. Pain. We anesthetize, ride it out, embrace it, ignore it. And for some of us, the best way to manage pain is to just push through it.
I am so sick of pushing through pain. And no, I refuse.
I refuse. I'm done.
I'm rejecting your spiritual affirmation.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, don't have it in
Wild.
me today.
Wild.
However, I might have it in me on November 7th. So
We'll see.
keeping it
We
positive.
might have a lot of pain to push through on November 7th.
Who's to say?
I don't know.
We're going to pretend like it's going to be a great day.
It'll be great. It is
Okay.
great.
It is great. It's a great day. Welcome to November. It's fine. The world is not ending. So we're here today to talk about Hannibal season 2.
Ugh.
It's a wrap up. I was trying to figure out what did I want to talk about? What were we going to approach? We did a menu last time. We did a quiz last time.
Yeah.
Skipped the menu. No more quizzes. That is the only quiz that they've made about Hannibal. So sorry, I can't offer you another one. But I thought we should just go through the episodes to start because I went through the episodes and forgot most of this was season 2 because a lot happened.
A lot happened this season. You're right.
So I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of Hannibal season 2.
Perfect. I'm here
So we
for it.
start with episode 1, where we obviously know we start with Jack and Hannibal's fight, because
Yeah.
that's also how we ended. This is also, however, when Will starts hypnosis therapy. He is remembering that he doesn't know what happened, and this is the episode that he remembers Hannibal putting Abigail's ear down his throat. This was not season 1.
My God.
This was season 2.
Wow.
That was the beginning of the end for me. I was like, oh, okay, this happened.
Wait, all of the stuff with Will in jail was this season.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. So it's
Wow.
wow. We made it through a whole season of absolute bonkers nonsense.
Insanity.
And then we go to episode 2, where Hannibal finds the silo with the mural in it and adds the killer to the mural. This is also where Perel is trying to make Will plead guilty instead of being released. And DeMaria tells Will she believes him. This is episode 2 of season 2.
Yes.
If you didn't have enough going on today in your brain, I'm here to make it worse. That is why I've arrived today.
Much worse.
This is why I talked about Trader Joe's in my intro, because it was a lot easier.
What? How did we get here?
I ask myself that every day.
When
so then we get to episode. Yep.
When in the calendar did we start watching season 2?
Let's see. It ends the end of October, so July, maybe end of June, because it's only 13 episodes, so it's been 3 months, 4 months, 3 months. 12 divided by 4 is 3. It's been 3 months.
I still have the thing up of when episodes premiered. Season 2, episode 1 was published August 8th. So we started it.
Granted, we were doing a lot of backup episodes, so we probably recorded beginning of July is when we probably started these recordings.
Yeah.
However, that is still not that long ago.
I feel like I was like a lifetime different person.
I was a different person then.
Yeah.
I've been a lot of different people since we started this show. Like just this season of the show.
To be fair, it's because ever since I watched that terrible movie, my life has never been the same.
Hannibal Rising?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No question about that. Yeah. So then we go into episode 3, where Will's trial begins. And Jack comes on the stand, blames himself, says he shouldn't have pushed him so far. The bailiff is killed. It becomes inadmissible. And then the judge is killed and is like hung from the rafters of the courthouse. That's episode 3. So then we go to episode 4, where Will and Chilton learn about the encephalitis. Because remember, Will did not know until episode 4 of season 2 that he had encephalitis and was not just losing his mind. And we have the episode where the woman's given lobotomies. She's an acupuncturist who's given lobotomies.
Oh,
so we have the walking
crazy bee lady.
Yeah, the crazy bee lady. This is also the episode where Bella tries to commit suicide and Hannibal saves her. And this is also the episode where Beverly dies. What? I literally have no idea how this season exists. Like, it is so wild. Episode 5. We're like not even, we're a third of the way through this season.
Wait, did we watch? No, we didn't watch this one together. We watched the next one together. The one with Beverly sliced up.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So Freddie goes back to the observatory where she was at with Gideon, or with Chilton, that Gideon took her to with Chilton.
Yeah.
And this is where she finds Beverly's body. Gideon is also now brought back to the asylum. This is the one also where the attendee admits to being the one to kill the bailiff and is on a mission to now go kill Hannibal for Will, who is still in prison. And he tries to kill Hannibal. And but Gideon overhears everything and tells Bloom, who then talks to Jack, who then goes and saves Hannibal. Like, so that happened. Never gonna need that. And then episode 6, this is the one where Hannibal throws a dinner party, but Jack thinks that he's cooking with people, so he takes a lot of the samples to test them at the lab. This is also the one, like I mentioned in the last episode, where the counselors found the parking lot of the place that he tore down the bird sanctuary. Gideon's caught on tape confessing about being at Hannibal's house, and then when it's questioned about it by Jack, lies about it, so they can't use any of his evidence as credible. So Jack tests the food, finds it's not that. This is also around the time where Hannibal and Bloom get together, because this is where he uses her as an alibi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Where Zeller and Price find human tissue from all the victims in the fishing wire that was used in the murder. They finally decide that there's no copycat killer, that it's all the Chesapeake Ripper.
Yep.
And then Jack finds Miriam. We are halfway through the season now. We are starting episode 7. What? Miriam has no memory of what's happened, as we know. She is total loss. Will is finally exonerated. So it was halfway through the season before Will even got let go.
Yeah.
Bloom and Hannibal are like for surezies together. Will shows up with a gun to Hannibal's to call him out.
Right.
Doesn't shoot him. Miriam goes to Hannibal to do her hypnoregression as well. And she still can't see what's going on, still can't really tell. And Jack is starting to finally believe that it could be Hannibal or Chilton, can't figure it out, wants to bring them both in. However, Hannibal frames Chilton by putting Gideon's body in his house. So just Chilton's brought in first. And Miriam immediately thinks that he's the killer and shoots him through the glass. And then Will decides to start therapy with Hannibal again.
What the shit?
I know. Now we're in episode 8, where we meet Margot. Because new storyline time. We meet Margot. Will starts working with the FBI again. We have the woman in the horse uterus with the live bird in her chest. These are a little more familiar. We've had these more recently, so I didn't put as much detail into these. Then we go in episode 9. We have the truck driver who's mauled by the animal man, who turns out to be Randall Tier. Margot goes to Will's to befriend him, and Will tells Hannibal about Dr. DeMaurier, saying that she believed him.
Right.
So a lot of things are being laid out in this episode. This is also one of the episodes where we started kind of coming back down from the 9.2 episodes. Number 10, Will kills Randall and his body is staged. Will meets with Freddie, who believes that it is who still believes that it is Hannibal. Margot and Mason go look at the pigs she meets the pigs who are eating the people alive.
Yeah.
Hannibal tells Margot that if she gets pregnant, she can come out of this. So that's when she decided to sleep with Will. So I think it wasn't as obvious as we saw in the intro that we talked about, but I think it was just kind of an in-passing thing that he was like, that's a way to get around this. And so then she sleeps with Will.
Yeah.
And Hannibal starts treating Mason also. He starts doing therapy with him. Will and Freddie get into a fight. This is where we think Freddie dies.
Yes.
Episode 11, we go into and we see the burning body in the wheelchair. Margot's pregnant. Will gives Bloom the gun to tell her, like, watch out for herself. And then Margot tries to flee and is mutilated. It's a horrible episode. It was an episode.
Yeah.
And then we go to episode 12. We learn that Jack has found Dr. DeMaurier. And Hannibal, what does that even say? Hannibal gets strung up at Burger Farm. Will ends up saving him. We learn Freddie's not dead. And then we have the finale, which we've just talked about. So we all know everyone dies at the end, as they do. Um, so do you have any general thoughts before I get into our discussion questions? Not save your predictions, but just like general thoughts about how the season progressed.
I feel like that was 3 seasons at once.
Yeah.
I like genuinely. So I remember my experience watching it. I remember everything up until the, I guess, Beverly murder, or not that one, but the one after it. Like
Mhm.
when Miriam fingers Chilton, basically. Everything up till that, I was really invested in.
Mhm.
And then we got the first 2 Margot episodes. And while by the end of the season, actually, no, even by the end of the season, I don't care about anything that happened to Margot and Mason. 0%
Right.
of me cares. And those first 2 episodes were so heavily focused on these new mystery kind of thing that it was that I did not care at
So I
all.
will tell you the reason they're included is because Mason is a huge part of the books, apparently.
Mm,
And so Brian Fuller, trying to be true to the books,
okay.
made sure to include their characters. I agree. They were not as enticing as you wanted them to be, especially in the
Well, and
beginning.
especially
But
because when Mason gets killed, basically, but not killed, and then they have that scene where Margot goes to see him, and she's like, "Oh, I'll take care of you the way you took care of me." But by the end of the season, everyone's dead, and Hannibal has fled to a different country. So
mhm,
that like sinister foreshadowing isn't really going to lead to anything.
yeah,
Probably not. So I'm just like, whatever.
yeah. It's just totally fair. It's a totally fair way to be. So many other big things happen this season
But
that
also, the weird
they,
horse murder in Margot's first episode was too much for me.
yeah.
Yeah, so didn't like
Yeah,
it.
it was a lot for no reason. And I know that they had to have some fill-in episodes. They had to have
Yeah,
another arc. Like we had the Franklin and Tobias arc last season. So like they had to have an arc for that time
which
period.
I totally get. But Franklin
Um,
and Tobias were more interesting because I liked both the actors,
true. Yeah, yeah,
not
for
because it was
sure.
good.
So yeah. But that's just kind of how it was. And it's possible because like one of the things we've talked about in the past is that Brian Fuller has mapped out 7 seasons for the show. So like it's possible that he had introduced them to bring them
Yeah,
further. Um, who's to say? We
yeah,
can't be certain. I don't know if they come back. That's not a thing I
right,
know. I don't. I agree with you. I don't think they do. But if they don't, I could see that they were being placed in there for another future season
right.
because apparently, again, haven't read all the books, but apparently he's such a big part of the books that maybe that was the plan all along, and then it just didn't kind of get to come to fruition. Um, yeah. So I do have so I have some discussion questions for you. Um, so in the last episode we just watched, we talked a little bit about how we have Jack on one side, Hannibal on the other side, and Will, we're not sure what's going on. What do you think? What do you think his ultimate plan would have been if it came down to the point of like, obviously he didn't have to make any decisions, but if it came down to everyone's holding a gun at each other's head, is he shooting Jack or is he shooting Hannibal? And why do you feel that way?
I think it's a very tricky question. I don't know that there is I don't know that you can really ever figure it out. I think Hannibal.
You think he shoots Hannibal?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, he shoots Hannibal because I think that whether he whether he has fallen for some of Hannibal's stuff or not, I do think that he knows that Hannibal's the Ripper. he knows that Hannibal has done these things, and he knows the only way that he will ever get peace and be done with this is with Hannibal gone.
Yeah, I agree. I think he would ultimately turn on Hannibal and not on Jack. Um, I think that he would have to. I don't know that he would kill him. I don't know that he could kill him, but I do think that he would at least injure him enough to be caught.
Yeah.
I don't think he would, 'cause I don't think he would kill either one of them. If it came down to it and he's like, oh yes, no, I don't think he would kill either one of them. I think he would just
Right.
injure one of them enough that the other one believes him or gets away, like whoever he
Yeah.
chooses. I think that the way that the show did it is smart. I mean, I don't love all the death, but I do think that like the show deciding it for you and not having Will decide it
Yeah.
um is the right answer, because it does now leave him up in the air of
Right.
like, we don't know what he would have chosen and we never will. Like, you know.
Yeah. But I also think that in that moment, like in that episode, not only did they do a great job of deciding for you, they also changed Will's mind. And I will tell you,
Yeah.
the thing about it is, I do think that everything that we're saying about the back and the forth and the him kind of faking both sides of this conversation is true until the moment he knows for sure that Abigail's alive and that
Yeah.
Hannibal has not only been torturing her, but using him and his feelings for her and using Abigail to control him. The
Yep.
moment he sees Abigail, all bets are off. Anything that he might have felt for Hannibal is gone.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I think because I do think at the same time, if you take out the element of he has to kill one or the other, and picking a side, I'm not sure he would not have gone with Hannibal.
Yeah.
Like,
I think the conversation about the sacrificial lamb and them getting on a plane and running away, I think there is an element of Will that knows no one will ever be intellectually or psychopathically in tune with him the way Hannibal is. He will never find another connection that way. He will never have a friend because he will never have somebody who truly sees him with all of his mental illness the way Hannibal does. That doesn't mean that's a good thing, but there's a part of him that knows that at least with Hannibal, he has an equal and he never has and never will again.
Yeah, because you think about it, I mean, you look at, I mean, just in general in life, like,
Yeah.
if I had to choose, do I want to be with a partner that I know knows me in and out, regardless of flaws? Hopefully they didn't kill anyone, but like, if I could choose being with someone that was that way, or never being with someone that got me ever again, I'd probably choose the red flag too. Like, it's because there's so much necessity and like human emotion and contact and connection that like you obviously you cannot get from anyone. And the smarter you are, the harder it is to find people to connect with. It just is a way of life.
And it's also the idea, it's the thing that narcissists use in general, taking the thing that Will is the most insecure about, and instead of using it and using him and looking at him like the way Jack does, Hannibal's like, that's not a flaw, it's your gift. It's why you're special. It's why you're better. It's why you're like me. And after feeling othered your whole life, when someone is like, no, it's how people end up in cults.
It's how people end up in cults every time, because they find someone that says they believe in them, that says they care about them. And it's how people bond from or like come up from like traumatic relationships in the past. If you've been with these narcissists, if you've been with these red flags, the minute you find someone else that comes out and says everything you're thinking and says all of the things that like you want to hear, you're just like, yeah, I'm sold. Like, you like, no one else has said it, like, and you have. So now and then you get sucked into another narcissist.
Well, no, and that's the whole thing. Like, I've said it a million times and people always look at me like I'm crazy, but I've said before, and I know I've said it to you, that if I was born at the right time, I would have ended up in Charlie Manson's like cult. And the thing is, when I was a teenager, specifically when I was a teenager, not to like be like vain or anything, but I was very smart. But I was very smart in a way where I didn't get along with like the super nerdy girls in my school because I didn't work hard at being smart. I just was smart.
Yeah.
And that was kind of isolating. And I had a lot of insecurities, and I wasn't the most beautiful, popular girl. I didn't hang out with those girls either. I didn't have a lot of attention, and I also had a lot of siblings, so I fought for attention at home too. Like, and my parents are great. It has nothing to do with them.
Right.
But when you're 15, nothing is enough in terms of
You're
attention.
insecure about everything. Yeah.
You're insecure about everything. And I lived in a different city than I went to school in. So my neighborhood friends didn't want to be my friends because I didn't go to school with them. My school friends didn't want to be my friends outside of school because I lived too far away from them. I didn't fit in with the kids who were academically where I was. And I didn't fit in with the kids who were popular, and like I didn't become a bad kid in school. I just existed on an island with like the two kids who liked anime. Like that was weird.
Yeah.
And I know that if Charlie Manson had written a song and sang to me and told me that other people feel alone too, I would have been like, okay, 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. And so Will, who is even higher in terms of isolation than I was, has an even more specific niche mind, finds the one other person on planet Earth who sees things the way he does. How can you walk away from that?
And like, even, I mean, being as smart as you are, knowing it's too hard. Like, it's absolutely, it just is what it is. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, so I think he would have gone with him if that had been a viable option, and Abigail hadn't shown up and Jack hadn't have gone off the rails. I think he would have left with him, and it
100%
would have been chaos. But maybe not. Maybe they would have found their other half, because you look at Hannibal, a lot of the reasons he did with what he did. So like his whole being is because of what happened to Misha. And this is the whole thing that started his teacup theory. It started like, I want to put the pieces back together, and I want to harm the people that harm others for no reason, or harm the innocent. And it's a very warped version of vigilante. It's not like a Daredevil vigilante. It's a very warped version of vigilante, but it's because of how he grew up and how traumatized he was.
It's literally like the opposite of Batman. Like Batman was like, I watched my mom die, so now I will never kill anyone again. And Hannibal's like, you killed my sister, so now I will kill everyone.
Right. And so like on that same flip side, like if he put the teacup back together, would he have stopped killing? Like, would he have fulfilled that need? Like, if he were to run away with Will and have like his other half,
right,
would he have been better? Or if Misha had never died, would he have still come this way? Like, there's a bit of nature versus nurture, which we talk about all the time.
Well, but the interesting thing is we have all these stories about Hannibal's backstory, and like bits and pieces of them have been filtered into the show. And like, he has mentioned that he had a sister. He has mentioned that he like lost his family young. We know more about it, obviously, from the movie
Hannibal Rising. Yeah.
And we know that technically all of it is canon. Like, Thomas Harris obviously didn't write the TV show, but Brian Fuller stayed as true to Thomas Harris's work as possible. Right. And all of the movies are canon. So like, we know this. And what we don't know is what Will's life was like.
Yeah.
And that's
because we haven't watched Red Dragon yet. That's going to come next.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, and that's the really fascinating thing about this, is because we're like psychoanalyzing this, but like, Hannibal.
We only have one side of the story.
Right. And Hannibal's desire to be alone, except for the fact that he wants to fix this, and his fixation with Will comes from seeing something in Will that reminds him of Misha, or because the thing was, his whole life was replacing his sister. He did it with his aunt, and then he did it with Du Maurier, and then that wasn't working anymore, and so he did it with Will, and now that's not working, so he's back to Du Maurier. Like, his whole life is trying to recreate this connection, but the connection died when he was 8. He has no idea what connection is. He's still living.
Right.
He's intellectually and far, far, far beyond that, but emotionally has never cracked 10 years old. Will clearly seeks company, but he does it in the form of animals. He does it in the form of things that he has to care for.
He protects the innocent as well.
He protects the innocent. And he does it in the form of students. Everyone is somebody that he can shepherd, but never let in. Whereas Hannibal's desperately seeking one person to let in. And so even if they fully 100% saw each other, I don't think that connection could exist. Like, I don't think either one of them actually has what the other one needs.
Yeah.
Will can't be protected. Will never need to be protected the way Hannibal thinks he's protecting him.
Yeah.
And Will can never, I don't think Will wants to, but Will can never control or guide Hannibal the way he feels drawn to. Yeah. I don't think they work. I don't think they match.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I do think that it would probably end up with them then going forward to kill more people. I don't think it would actually end, but there was a lot of speculation about that when people like on the internet talked about it. I was like, that's a fair question.
Yeah.
What it looks like. So here's a question for you. Who's the better friend between Hannibal and Will to each other?
I think Hannibal is. I think Hannibal's motives are wrong. I think Hannibal's core morals don't line up. But I think at the end of the day, Hannibal actually wants to protect Will from what he thinks is the negative in Will's life. Will does not care what happens to Hannibal.
Yeah. And Hannibal wants to make Will happy. And that's why he didn't kill Abigail in the beginning. Granted, it all went off the rails recently, but like, he didn't kill Abigail in the beginning. He wanted to put him through therapy. He wanted to make sure Will had a place for all of this. And he wanted to make sure he was protected by running away with him. Yeah. Will, like, Hannibal has made all of the things that he thinks are the right decisions to protect Will.
Yeah, like his idea of that utopia world and what he's protecting him from is very warped. It's very incorrect. But his motivation is protecting Will.
Is 100% pure friendship.
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing that is within his being that he thinks he's doing out of manipulation, that he thinks he's doing out of hatred, or
I think truly
he's doing the best.
I think truly a lot of what Hannibal is doing is not intentionally manipulation.
Right. I think so too.
I think he does intentionally manipulate people when he needs to. I think he is very good at protecting himself, and he is very good at using his skills to make sure he comes out of things okay. He does manipulate people. But I also don't think it's black and white. I don't think he's like, I don't think he's like intentionally manipulative. I think he just genuinely has the worst moral understanding of the world.
Yeah. And when it comes down to it, he's never really manipulated Will. Everything Will has done has been his own choice. Now, yes, he did persuade him.
I disagree.
Okay.
Because of the encephalitis situation.
Sure. Yes. Okay. So he did manipulate him with that.
I was like, he whether it was
but he didn't
manipulation or not, he lied and hurt Will.
He controlled him, which he has definitely done. He's definitely controlled him, but he did do a lot of it under the guise that he was making the best decisions for Will. And you look at all of Will's other friendships or people in his life, and truly Hannibal has done the best things for him. He has made the options for him, whereas Bloom never believed him and spoke against him. Jack didn't believe him for a while, spoke against him. You look at all these people
But
that at one point or another stopped believing in him, and Hannibal never did.
which I see where you're coming from, and I don't disagree with you, but at the end, but the truth of the matter comes down to if you had two friends and one of them was building you up in all of your delusions all of
Mhm.
the time, and one of them was like, "Hey, sit down, we need to talk."
Right.
Which one is the better friend?
Well, let's sit down and you talk. But if you
Yeah.
remove all of the moral delusions because you're looking at it from a
No, I
objective as opposed to specific,
yes. I think
that's
I
where it
think
comes in.
Hannibal was a better friend to Will than Will was to Hannibal. I
Mhm.
don't think Hannibal was a better friend to Will than Jack or Alana were to Will.
I think Hannibal believed in Jack more than, I mean, believed in Will more than the rest of them did because they did both give
Yes,
up on him at
but
points, whereas Hannibal never
he
did.
also was the only one who had the whole picture.
Right, which is true, which is fair.
I think given the
Um,
information that Jack and Alana had, they had every reason
yeah.
to. Truthfully, the only person who's been a good friend to Will this whole fucking time was Beverly.
Yes, correct. Beverly was the only one, but
Beverly was his
she's,
best friend.
yeah. And Winston.
Oh, Winston.
But yeah, so
What's gonna
I
happen to
asked,
all the dogs if everyone's dead?
I guess we'll have to wait and see. I asked that question because Brian Fuller came out and made a whole speech about it and did say that Hannibal was the better friend
No,
to Will in the end. So
I
like,
agree. I agree.
yeah,
No, yeah, but like I said, I think that all all things considered equally,
yeah,
Hannibal was not the best friend Will had, but in terms of who was a better friend to each other, for sure Hannibal. Will
for sure,
never,
Hannibal.
never.
Yeah,
Will's intentions were always cloudy.
yeah.
Hannibal's
Um,
actions were cloudy. His intentions were not.
exactly. So those are my like deeper discussion questions. I do have some friend trivia for you before we wrap up.
Oh,
I'm gonna
love
see if
it.
I can get through most of this, but I don't want us to go for hours. So if I don't get through it all, I'll save it for the next wrap up because some of it's generic.
Okay.
Um, so I went through a lot of like interviews with Hugh Dancy, Mads Mikkelsen, Brian Fuller to kind of see their thoughts on everything. And Hugh Dancy talked about like his preparation for the shows and how he kind of approached his character each season.
Yeah.
And he said that he picked what the way he did it was he would pick an emotional endpoint and make everything kind of tailor his acting towards that one point. And so the first season was the ear stuff with
Yeah.
Abigail's ear. And so he knew that was coming. And so you could see the unraveling and he kind of like put all of that energy into it. And the second one was in season 2, it was the embrace with Hannibal at the end when he sliced him open.
Yeah.
And so he kept putting all of his energy into that. And like, I don't know that I really heard of it. Like I haven't, which I guess there's a lot of different things going on, but like I've never heard of an actor describing it quite that way. They're like, I know
Yeah.
what's happening. And so I thought that was really interesting. Like I want to like hearing that and seeing the finale. I want to go back and watch now and be like, what things did we lean towards? Where was the emotional standpoint that was going to bring
Yeah.
us to this emotional scene with like
That is
Hannibal
a
and
that is a really interesting way to do it. I've never, in all of my experience with both being on stage and being beside or behind the scenes, I've never seen someone I've never seen someone act the end of the arc.
yeah,
I think he does a great job. I think it's good, but
great job. Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting choice. I think it's I think in a show like this, where the character is so confused, it works, but I don't think in a lot of other shows it would. Like
Yeah,
I don't think it would work for a lot of other characters.
I agree. I don't think it would work for a lot of other characters. And a lot of shows don't give you the end twist, even if you're acting it until it's
Yeah.
close to time. So it's hard for you to act towards something like that too, because you're
But
looking
I
at like Pretty
also
Little Liars. I've read a
yeah,
lot of
like
those.
also a lot of other characters aren't smart enough. Like
Hmm.
I don't think a character who is in the dark can play the end. Like if you don't know
Right.
the end of the story, you can't play the end. And I think he's not
Exactly.
really talking about the moment per se, but like the emotional arc, like
Yeah.
knowing that no matter where this ends up, and here's the thing, I feel like it's like no matter where the path of this story ends up, I will end up in this man's arms, whether it is
Hmm.
die or to embrace. Like it's like a knowing that we are intertwined.
Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating. I think playing
Hmm.
the actual like moment of I'm going to die, not so interesting.
Yeah,
But
it was definitely much more about the embrace than it was about
yeah,
like the death and whatnot. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, it was, I found that very interesting. Which makes me now want to watch you dancing and like everything and be like, what else have you done? Like,
Let me
what
tell
else
you,
what choices are you
is
making?
my one of my favorite fairy tale princes. So
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I
I
talk
need to
about
watch
that
that
all the
still.
time, but also I will never be able to watch All Enchanted the same way again, but that's fine.
Never. No, no. Um, so also in that scene, whenever they're having this emotional moment, and Matt Mickelson says, I let you see me, I let you know me. That was inspired by Avatar, like the movie from James Cameron, because in the emotional moments, apparently, like one of them, it's been so long since I've seen it, but one of them was like, I see you. And that's how he was like, he talked about their connection. And Brian Fuller just thought that was so magical that he was like, this is the thing that Hannibal says that means more than it's like more than I love you. It's just I see you, I let you see me. Like, and I was like, that is the funniest thing.
That's some like Edward Cullen shit right there.
I know. I know. Um,
This is skinny
so
killer Bella.
uh so Hugh Dancy's favorite crazy scenes that he liked. He said the craziest scene that he thought that they had in the entire show was in the second episode whenever the man ripped himself from the mural.
Yeah,
Um,
that was fucking
yeah,
horrifying.
that was the most horrifying thing in the entire show.
No, it wasn't. It was in the
No,
top
it was
five.
horrifying.
It was in the top five,
Mhm.
but the uh the
The horse.
the horse stuff was for me the
Yeah.
worst.
So he said that that's one of the craziest things, but his favorite crazy scene was the outcome of the final scene. He thought that that was
Wild.
just so well done, which
Yeah,
is like, and so crazy, which
absolutely.
is so
Absolutely.
true.
No, but in terms of like top three worst visual images I've ever had in my life, um, the body coming out of the horse, the man ripping himself out of the mural, and the the flash to what was Beverly's body.
Yeah,
Those are
those are pretty rough. I don't know. I really hated the scene where he did pull himself from that mural. That may have been the
yeah.
worst for me.
Actually, the Hannibal almost dying scene though, that one was also really bad. Like the Hannibal strung up like
Which one?
Jesus. No,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
the Hannibal strung up like Jesus in
With
the
the
school
attendee.
bathroom. Yeah,
Hmm. That was rough. Yeah.
that was rough.
Yeah. So he also talked about the actual blood in the scenes, and people are like, "Oh, where did the blood come from? What did it do?" And he was like, "Well, everyone was literally fighting to get their blood into the scene. So you have the makeup department, you have like all of the
I
visual
bet.
effects departments." And he's like, "So in the end, they all just basically threw it into a pool together. So you just have like this like blood cocktail that they're just like throwing on me every day." And I was like, "That is the funniest thing." But he loved it. He thinks it's grand.
Of
Um,
course he does.
so also as I am sure we've talked about, but his wife is Claire Danes,
Yes.
who stars in My So-Called Life, or starred, that's past.
I was like, not anymore.
Uh
She does not.
no, no, no. Turns out he's never seen the show. And he
Love
was like,
that.
I don't even know if they shared that in the UK. I was like, I don't even know if it was
Probably
like
not.
if it played there. So her like biggest hit that she's known for.
I don't
Um,
know. I love Stardust. That's my favorite Claire Danes movie.
your favorite what?
My favorite movie with Claire
Oh,
Danes in
Claire
it.
Danes. I
Yeah.
haven't seen Stardust, so I don't know about it. Um,
I feel
so
like I talk about that movie more than any other human being on the planet of Earth.
probably because I've never heard it from anyone else. So we know that a lot of people were like gender swapped in here. So we have, Freddie was obviously gender swapped. We have who was the other big one? Oh my gosh, what was it?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Someone else was a big swap too. It may have been Beverly, but there was like two that were big
Mm.
swaps. And then it almost was also Jackie Crawford instead of Jack, because every time Brian was like talking about like doing this, he was like, there's no feminine energy in this show at all. Like it's all just men doing, like we have to have some kind of women in the show. And I will say, I'm kind of glad they didn't put Jack as a woman, simply because it would be a weird. Of course it's Kate Burrell. It's Cynthia Nixon's character. That was the other big gender swap. Because if you gender swap both of those, it wouldn't have had the same dynamic.
But also, Cynthia Nixon is a very masculine energy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest reason it would have been problematic to switch Jack to a woman is the dichotomy of the Will Hannibal and Will Jack relationship. It would not have landed the same way if they weren't both paternal figures. Yeah. Because the lost kid fighting between his mom and his dad is a very different energy than the lost kid trying to figure out which man is a better father.
Right. Oh, and Alana was also a man. Literally everyone in here was a man, basically.
Oh no, Alana makes sense. I didn't even realize Alana was a man, because Alana shouldn't be a man.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think there was like that same love triangle in the actual books,
which makes sense. But yeah. Alana was the feminine energy the show needed. Like it was the perfect balance between like the romance being something important for the show to really like kind of play with. Yeah. Because also I think that if Will and Hannibal are both purely asexual characters, not that asexual people don't exist, and not that, but it I feel like it almost makes them less relatable to the average person, and they're
taking out the sexual chemistry, takes out the like attraction, takes out part of the intensity of the show. It's just
right. Well, and because there's so many layers. There's so many layers between them fighting over the same woman, them fighting this almost homoerotic tension between the two of them, and them fighting, having primal urges at all. They're both such intellectual characters that like the idea of them having like sexual, physical, primal urges is below them intellectually. And so there's like those three different layers of, they both want the same woman, they both want each other, they both want an animalistic urge, and they can't have any of it.
Yeah.
And so I think it was necessary for this telling of the story.
I agree. One that was gender swapped the other way is Winston is actually a female dog named Heidi. So thought that was cute. So a couple of different casting options that they talked about. I know we talked about some last time with like David Tennant and whatnot. But so Dr. DeMaria is not a character in the series. She was completely created
by Brian Fuller.
Show.
And we talked about this because it was based off of Daphne du Maurier. No, right. We talked about her being the name being taken from Daphne du Maurier. Yes.
So her character was created with Angela Lansbury in mind. Which would have been so wild. I don't know that I would have liked it. I love Angela Lansbury.
I love Angela Lansbury.
You're not think she would have been the right choice.
Angela Lansbury. I don't know. Because here's the thing. Angela Lansbury has the two vastly different sides. She has the Mrs. Potts Murder, She Wrote, like sweet, cute old lady. And then she has the Mrs. Lovett.
That's true. I forgot about Mrs. Lovett. Yeah.
And I think blending the two and living somewhere in that place between a sweet old grandmother and a murderous like
meat pie lady,
like that's a really interesting. I do think that I think that Gillian Anderson and Mads Mikkelsen have a more sexual chemistry. And I think
I was going to say, I think it would take out some of the mystery.
The mystery of what is the nature of their relationship. Because there is a very there is a very sexual like
Undertone.
undertone
Mhm.
that is almost menacing, but
Yeah.
definitely there. And I think that would be taken out. I think the like not knowing what her true intentions were and the back and forth and the like whether the like intelligence and the protection part of it would still work. But I do think it would take out
Yeah,
that energy.
I agree. So NBC didn't want Mads Mikkelsen. The entire cast and crew did. NBC did not.
NBC
They
sucks.
they made like
What?
8 offers before they actually gave it to Mads Mikkelsen. And Brian and Fuller from the beginning had been asking for Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
Um, they wanted their top two choices were Hugh Grant and John Cusack. That's who they wanted to play Hannibal Lecter.
Listen.
Neither is a good option. But
I have very strong feelings about both of those men.
same.
And the thing about it is Hugh Grant and Hugh Dancy look too similar. So he's out.
Yeah.
John Cusack. Absolutely not. No.
No, absolutely not.
John Cusack has never played suave and untouchable a day in his life.
No.
All of the characters of John Cusack's that you were in love with say anything. Serendipity. Even when he played like the Edgar Allan Poe fucking movie that was wild. He is unhinged.
Yeah,
He
for sure.
is unkempt. He is
Mm-hmm.
not put together. He, I don't think he found a comb for the entire 80s. Like,
Yeah.
no.
No. And Brian Fuller was like, I know they're going to pass. So sure, make the offer. Like, we'll make all of
Right.
the offers you want to make. And then they're all going to pass. And we're going to go back to my choice. And it was funny because he was like, yeah, Hugh Grant just passed on 750,000 per episode for uh 2.5 Men. He's not about to accept our budget for this show.
Correct. Correct.
So he was like, sure, you do you, and then we'll come back to where I'm at. The last other person that was going to be cast that was being considered for Will, and it was Lee Pace, who's in Pushing Daisies. I do not know him, but I thought you might have a reaction to that.
Okay. Okay. You have seen Lee Pace.
Okay. His face. I
Because
just looked at his face earlier. I forgot.
Yeah, no. So I'm pretty sure the last thing you've seen Lee Pace, the thing I know for a fact you've seen Lee Pace in, his face was not in.
Okay.
Because Lee Pace was in the MCU as the blue guy from Guardians. That was like, what is his name? Ronan the Accuser.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's so funny. So yeah, I did not see his face.
no, so you did
And
not
he
see
was in
his
the
face.
Hobbit movies, but I haven't seen all the Hobbit movies. I've only seen the first one.
Lee Pace
He was in Breaking Dawn.
Yes, he was.
What a time.
Lee Pace could have done it, but it would be a
Okay.
very, very different energy. I don't know. He doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't play serious as well, which is probably not true because if you look at the list, like his actual IMDb, he has done plenty of serious roles.
Sure.
But he just has an untortured air to him that Hugh Dancy doesn't have. Like even in Ella Enchanted, like even playing the prince, there was a torturedness to him. Like he just has this like broken energy that Lee Pace, I don't think
Could
carries
do.
could do the
Mhm.
same way. Um, that is sorry, I just almost died when you said that. That was
Well, I was like, you're gonna have a visceral reaction to this, even though I don't know why. So, um, yeah. Well, speaking of pushing daisies, I don't know if we've talked about this before, but apparently there is an ongoing discussion to turn it into a musical. And every few years, Brian Fuller's like, yeah, we finish a season, we talk about it for 3 months, and then we put it on the back burner again.
yeah.
And he's like, it's gonna happen, but it hasn't happened yet. And this is like still to this day, he is consistently still bringing it up that it's gonna happen. Um, Again, haven't seen Pushing Daisies yet, so I don't have a good background on that.
The
Um,
last actual conversation was in 2014 though about it becoming a
no, I thought I
musical.
saw something more recent than that. I was
Really?
reading it. Yeah, I thought I was reading an interview. That was from 2020 that I was reading. I read
Oh,
a lot of
okay.
interviews today. It was like buried. It wasn't like, here's the discussion. It was like, what about this? And he was like, oh, okay, ha ha ha. And then like moved on. Like it was not the point of the conversation that I was reading.
Right. Okay.
But yeah,
Listen, I
so
loved
we'll see
Pushing
if it ever
Daisies.
happens.
Um,
Um,
we are big Brian Fuller fans on this
mhm.
podcast, and this is the second Brian Fuller show we've talked about. But but you've never seen Pushing Daisies, right?
No, I haven't seen Wonderfalls or Pushing Daisies. I've only seen Dead Like Me. And he did something else I saw. Was there something else he did that I saw?
Yes, I think there's something that weird. So he Hannibal Pushing. Oh, he made the new. You haven't seen Star Trek
Oh, I
Discovery.
haven't
He
seen American Gods either. That
and
was
you
what I
haven't
was
seen
thinking he
American
did.
God. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So no, I've
So
only seen
no.
Hannibal and Dead Like Me.
Okay. I've seen Hannibal, Dead Like Me, Pushing Daisies, Star Trek. I've seen parts of Wonder Falls, and I have intended to watch American Gods and haven't gotten around to it.
Oh, he worked on Heroes. That was the other thing,
Oh, okay, yeah.
which I also haven't seen. But I was like, there's something else that people like know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I do have a couple more fun facts for you about Brian Fuller. Um,
Please.
Apparently he went through some of the shows. He's a very genre guy, is what he kept
Yeah.
calling himself.
Yes.
Um, and he absolutely loves Penny Dreadful. So kind of moves it up a little bit higher on the list because if our friend B Fuller is obsessed, we could also be obsessed.
Yeah.
And last but certainly not least, before we get into the predictions, he this space at the end that you missed the first time around of the end of the episode,
Mhm.
he very intentionally did that because he wanted to have space between Will's death and the airplane to give viewers time to really like absorb the horror
Because it was
of everything
horrible.
that's going on before they get into like the season 3 kickoff, which
I
was
will
the
say the
airplane.
visual of the like sky turning blue and being really fucking confusing, and then when the credits ended, the airplane was like flying into that sky.
Mhm.
So good.
Yeah,
But I
it was terrifying.
when the credits turned to look like happy sunny sky, I
Mhm.
literally said, "What the fuck just happened?" and turned the TV off. Like
Yeah, I just stared at it because I was
I
like, this
didn't
can't be it. This is not real.
see, but I didn't like pause it and go to a different show or like close
Mhm.
the app. I turned the TV off. Like I was so incapable of comprehending it that I couldn't have sound, music, light, anything in front of my face.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
So on that note, what do you think we're getting in season 3? You said in the end of the last episode you think everyone that was dying is
Yes.
dead.
I think everyone that was dying is
Okay.
dead. Um, I think that will still exist as a torment to Hannibal's mind because I think that season 3 is leading us. I know Brian Fuller originally had a 7 season arc planned, and I know that the show, like, and I don't know where they were in terms of like knowing the show was ending, whether it was canceled, whether it was blah blah blah. Like,
So it's supposed to lead us into Silence of the Lambs. That was the point of
okay,
season 3.
okay,
Yeah.
so that means that season 3 has to end with Hannibal being caught because Silence of the Lambs doesn't work if Hannibal's not already in prison. So
Right.
obviously, Hannibal has to unravel in some way. I think the method for us to see that unraveling is the torment of Will in his mind. I think that's how Hugh Dancy stays in the show. That's my personal opinion. I don't know. I have been much farther on my predictions in the show than you have, except for when I was 100% sure Beverly was dead immediately, and then I was mad at
Yeah.
myself for being 100% sure because it was true. But my prediction is that everyone is dead. Will exists as a torment in the mind. The death of everyone at Hannibal's house is the impetus the FBI needs to send someone to find him. And that he is actually on the run. And then that all of whatever escapades he gets up to and wherever he has started his new life, presumably France, is what happens in between Cynthia Nixon's character finally getting somebody to get him.
Yeah, I think that is an excellent prediction. I think that is a better prediction than where I think the show goes. I don't think they're all dead. I think Abigail's dead. I think Bloom is dead. I am split between Jack and Will because Jack made it a lot longer in the episode than I intended. And I don't know. I do agree that that is the impetus that we needed for Cynthia Nixon's character to be like, okay, yeah, this guy's bad. Like, but I think we still need someone from the original team. And I think it would have had to be either Alana or Jack. And I really think Alana's dead. So, like, I don't know who else because Beverly's gone. Like, who else from our team can go find Will? Because it's not Price and Zeller, I can tell you that. They are not the ones going
Here's
after
the
him.
thing, Freddie is still alive.
But Freddie's not FBI. Freddie, yes, she is going to be very involved. I think she's going to do a lot of good. But I think we need someone that's like.
I think that's going to be a new character. I think that's going to be a new character.
And it could
be.
Yeah.
And it could be. It could be that one of them made it out alive, which I wouldn't be mad about. I would. There is a part of me that feels like if you made me grieve that hard for all 4 of them at once, keep them dead because that's not like I can't handle that. But part of me thinks that what is more interesting is that they are all dead and that someone else has to do this and navigate the enigma that is Hannibal while Hannibal unravels himself from the guilt of the only death that he is capable of feeling guilt over.
Right. And I think that makes sense because I think also looking at if we're going into Silence of the Lambs, my assumption is they got canceled because they never got the rights to Clarice. And so you have to have those going forward and then you just don't. And he did, and he has talked about in a lot of interviews how he had anticipated for so many of these later seasons to include Clarice. So I think that's what happened. I think that's why we got canceled. But I think having a season 3 where he unravels, you introduce a new character to find him, leads us into here's a new character that then leads into Clarice, which leads us to a new team because our old team is dead. So I think that is a good like bridge.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that is the outcome. I don't know. I feel like it's hard to kill everyone.
Which is fair. It is hard
to start over
everyone.
Especially with only one season left. And I'm sure I feel like they had to know that like we're gonna know halfway through if we're getting Clarice or not. And if we're not, this is the end. Like we don't have anything.
Yeah.
And they were having low viewership because what we looked at is like they had really high viewership for what was it? They were like for like cable TV. Were they on cable TV or were they on network? I forget.
They were on I never remember which one is which. If they're on NBC.
So they're on NBC, right?
Yeah.
So they had really high viewership for the other streaming, like the other type. They did not have high viewership for NBC, which is where they kept hitting a mark. Because like if you put this show anywhere else,
if you put
it
the
would
show
have
on
thrived.
AMC, TNT, like
Right.
it thrives. But
FX, like the show goes.
But to put it on channel 2 and have it be everybody's Wednesday night
It's
show,
fighting ABC, it's fighting NBC, like it's fighting other NBC shows. It's like
yeah,
it's fighting Fox. Like it's not, and it's not winning.
yeah,
And it's not the show, it's the time and place, basically.
yeah.
So they already were they were already kind of surprised they made it this far. So I don't know exactly, again, I don't know exactly what happened, but it is somewhere in between. So I want to believe at least someone comes back. I mean, obviously we know Dr. Marie is back.
Yeah.
But I want to believe at least one of them pulls through, because then we at least have a team of Freddie and someone else.
Yeah.
Not gonna be Abigail. Not really thinking she's done. I think she's done for.
Yeah, just
but
a little bit.
I could see bringing Jack back, having Jack and Freddie while Will is in his mind. I could see that being a thing. I could see bringing Will back and him still having this unraveling because of Will, but have Will and Freddie be the ones on the case. Don't really think Alana's coming back either. I think it's going to be between Will and Jack. Because also those are the two people that he became friends with. Because Alana, he did have his, feelings about Alana because he did give her the option to run away.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever thought of her as a friend the same way he thought of Will and Jack.
No, she was a means. She was a means to an end.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's that. Do we punch people asses every time? Do we punch people for seasons?
No, I mean we can if you really want to, but I don't really know.
I don't have any strong feelings. I want everyone to just be okay, and then I want Hannibal to get caught and go to jail. So yeah, I think that is our episode then. So if you are as shocked as we are of everything that happened in this episode, maybe do a rewatch before we come back for season 3. But we are gonna, next week we will be watching Red Dragon and Manhunter. Start with Manhunter. It came out first. It's got Brian Cox starring as Hannibal, which is gonna be interesting. And then we go into Red Dragon, which is gonna be the first time we see Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal.
Yeah.
So we should watch everyone else first.
Yeah, it'll be it won't be a blow by blow of the movies because they're very similar plots, and because we're doing 2 movies in one episode, so it won't be like a plot driven analysis.
So it's gonna be very much like, where do we see, because these are the movies that introduce Will. So we're gonna do character comparisons, we're gonna do movie comparisons back and forth. It's not gonna be like you said, plot by plot. Like it's gonna be more discussion based. So come in for that. But before that happens, on Sunday we do have our season 6 wrap up of Stargate. So come in for that. We've got a lot of non-episode content coming out all at one time. So I hope you enjoy all of these discussions. I hope you're hanging in there. I hope you're ready for season 3, because I don't know what's coming and I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. So in the meantime, if you want to email us or you want to chat, you could email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CeCloud13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we'll see you on Sunday. Bye.
Bye.